This is the Coromandel Peninsula, and for iwi and local residents, the kaimoana that this place has a reputation for is core to both our lifestyles and our ability to feed our families. One of those delicacies is the scallop, and for decades places like here at Opito Bay, their abundance has been something we've taken for granted. But today they're in trouble. Entire beds on the Coromandel have simply disappeared, and the collapse of beds in the Marlborough Sounds and the Kaipara Harbour have forced them to close, both for commercial and for recreational. Commercial are struggling to find them. Over the past couple of years, commercial dredgers have only been able to collect around 7% of their allocated quota. Our quota management system has simply failed to do its job and protect them from overfishing. Commercial boats under pressure to catch are now entering areas once considered recreational only, and Opito Bay too has been targeted. This was one of the last recreational and customary gathering sites left on the Coromandel, and now the numbers of scallops have dropped so low that locals have been forced to take action.
It's my privilege on behalf of the Opito Bay ratepayers to give a brief welcome to everyone here this morning on what I'm sure you'll all agree is a perfect Opito Bay day. I'm going to start by acknowledging Mr. Joe Davis, who will be shortly leading the mihi whakatau as rangatira of Ngāti Hei. And I thank him for his guidance and his commitment to establishing a Rahui here and hopefully subsequently throughout the eastern Coromandel. This is our best hope for rebuilding and sustaining the scallop beds that have been so badly depleted over so many years. So thank you, Joe.
For Ngāti Hei, we've always had this concern about the depletion of our kaimoana. It's been a fantastic opportunity at this time to be able to work with LegaSea and the Opito Ratepayers Association and the Spearfishing Association and other groups that have come here today to help us have this, to be able to install this voluntary Rahui, and eventually we want to lead into a full-on Crown recognised Rahui that's going to take a bit of time, but we'll get there. We'll get there. And at the end of the day, it's for the benefit of everybody that we have to make this sacrifice now. So we've just seen what's happened to our crayfish, now our scallop, and it's going on to our kutai, mussel. They are all Tangaroa's mokopuna. They're all Tangaroa's children, and they're part of our food basket here. And we need to conserve and to be able to manage all of our kaimoana so that our children and their children and their children and have the fundamental right of being able to feed your families and for the sheer enjoyment of being able to catch a fish and or enjoy a scallop or enjoy a mussel or a paua and not feel threatened by the thought that, hey, we're all being part of this whole process of wiping out species that is that are so important to all of us and to our shoreline, to the very fact that we are all Kiwis, we're New Zealanders, and we live in a very special place. So without talking any further on the subject, I'm sure we've got a lot more to talk about during the day. Ka mihi atu kia koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa.
I believe that most people believe in protecting our environment, and given the opportunity, will gladly play their part. This is a small initiative in a tiny remote place, but it matters. It's a great example of community and tangata whenua coming together and working together, and I hope it will help others to create their own opportunities to make a difference. We all have to believe that every little bit helps. Matini mamono karapa te whai. By many, by thousands, the work will be accomplished.
We've got two aspects to this process. One, we've got the dive survey. That's a dive zone vessel out there with the dive crews on board. They've got 90 sites to survey. They won't likely get through 90 sites, but they're going to start from number 1 and work their way through and do as many as they can. And then once we've got all the data from that, that will go back to Dave Guccione from Toiuhu Mai, and he's going to collate all the information and give us a report. And basically what we're doing is looking to get a snapshot, a count of how many scallops are actually out there at the moment. And that will help in the future when Ngāti Hei and us work together to find out whether scallops are improving the numbers or they're getting less or they're staying the same. At the moment, the last survey that was done out here was in 2012. So it's a long time between drinks, and with scallop populations they change so much, so you know they can vary between years, so it's a long time to have no history on what's happening out there.
So how'd you get on?
Oh, mixed result really through the three different sections that we looked at.
So in that 5 metre circle, you're talking about only having how many?
So first in 3 circles, first count we did was we got 9. Second was 4, and third was 31.
So in a 5 metre radius, you're talking about 4 scallops in that second circle.
That's it.
And only 2
4.
of those were legal.
Correct.
Yeah. And any sign of any other damaged dredges going through here?
Yeah, absolutely. So in that second circle, well, we found there was some quite serious dredge marks through there. So around that 2.5 metre wide, and just everything is out of that. There's no life in between that. So even lots of smashed up small scallops as well.
Yeah.
And there's quite a few starfish noted around, but lots of pieces of starfish. So I mean, it's probably from dredging.
They leave nothing, do they?
Yeah.
I think that's the hard thing for people to understand, is that it's not only about taking the scallops out of there.
Yeah.
They completely rip that benthic layer out of the bay, and that's where all life for the space starts.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Look, and I've been diving this bay for 14 years, and it's very, very different to what it was when I started. Yeah. I know I'm smiling about it because it's not that great a scene really.
It's not great, no. So you're from the UK, so how does this compare to back home?
Yeah, look, I grew up here, and like I said, I've been diving here for 14 years in this bay, and I've noticed a change. But the coastline that I grew up diving in the UK, a lot of scallop diving there, and it's fantastic. Until a point where it's like this, and they introduced a ban on dredges there around 5 or 6 years ago. It was in a similar state to this. There wasn't a lot of life on the ground. I went back last year after I think it was around 5 years of that being introduced, and the marine life on the bed was incredible. The guys are now scuba diving for commercially for the scallops. I believe they may have even increased their biomass in that area. The scallop life is far better than it ever was, and the fish life is incredible there as well. It's not just the fish life, but it's all the kelp and everything that's growing there, all the sponge life, and just creates this whole new habitat. And it's not just being picked over every time a dredge goes over it.
Yeah. So Warren, what is the New Zealand Sport Fishing Council's position on this?
Yeah, so one of the things we did a couple of years ago was we came out and we surveyed our members on what's important to them, fish species, and you would expect the usual ones to come through, and one of the big ones for a lot of our members, 36,000 members, was scallops. And so we've had a lot of feedback from members, and they're coming back saying, the scallops are deteriorating in a lot of areas. I'm out of Tairua, our little beds are gone now. We've come up, and I've dove up here at Opito Bay for the last 6 or 7 years, and just really seen that deteriorate too. So Sports Fishing Council backed initiative was to come out and put out a bit of a policy in-house that we're discouraging the use of recreational dredges and what they're doing to the bottom.
Now obviously having Ngāti Hei on board is a pretty big plus.
Yeah, fantastic. It's a great partnership, and we're hoping this sort of thing will spread throughout the country. Iwi first and foremost, they're noticing it too, speaking to Joe Davis, local Kamatua, indicating they just don't see scallops washing up on the beaches anymore after storm events and stuff like that. So be able to form a partnership with them and use the tools that they have in their toolkit to put in place a Rahui and get these things underway is absolutely fantastic.
Now the New Zealand Sport Fishing Council is pretty keen to get recreational to stop using dredges.
Yeah, that's the thing. We want to be seen to be doing something about it, and just educating people on what those dredges are doing to the bottom, to the seagrass beds, the horse mussels and stuff like that, and just watching the destruction that's going on and educating people and saying, hey look, we need to stop before it's all gone.